Hey guys, welcome to the 23rd C programming tutorial, and in this tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to use structs or structures. And structures will basically just allow you to group a bunch of variables together and then treat them as one. So let's just say that we were working with fractions, and whenever you're working with fractions you obviously need to have a numerator and a denominator. So let's just go ahead right here and create two integer variables, one to hold the numerator, one to hold the denominator. So I'm just going to say int numerator equals 1 and then int denominator equals 3. So now we basically just got two variables right here, one to hold the fraction's numerator and one to hold the fraction's denominator. And together these two variables create a fraction 1/3. But it would be much more handy if we could just group these two variables together and treat them as one thing, a fraction. And we can actually do that using a structure. So let's just go ahead right here and create a structure called fraction. So just go up above where it says int main right here and write out type def, and then following that write out struct. Then after that struct keyword just go ahead and put two curly braces, and after the last curly brace just go ahead and write out the name of your struct. I'm going to call mine fraction since that's what our struct is going to be. It's going to be holding a numerator and a denominator. So I'm going to say fraction, and then just go ahead and put a semicolon after the name of your struct. Alright, so now inside of these two curly braces is where you're going to want to put all the things that make up a fraction. So what two things, or more than two things, do we need to make up a fraction? We need a numerator and a denominator. So I'm just going to say int numerator, and then I'm going to say int denominator. Alright, so now I've basically just got the two things that will make up a fraction. We have the fraction's numerator and the fraction's denominator. So now what we can actually do is create a fraction variable, or a variable of type fraction. So let me just go ahead and do that. So first, remember, whenever you're creating a variable, you're just going to want to write out the type of variable that you're creating. In our case, we're going to be creating a variable of type fraction. So I'm just going to write out fraction. And then following that, I'm just going to go ahead and give my variable a name. I'm just going to call it my fraction. And then what we can actually do is set this fraction called my fraction's numerator and denominator equal to something. So in order to access this fraction's numerator, what we can do is just type out the name of our fraction variable. In our case, it's just my fraction, and then we just do dot and then numerator. And then we now have access to this numerator variable, and since it's an integer, we can only set this equal to an integer. So I'm just going to go ahead and set it equal to 1, and then I'm going to go ahead and set this fraction's denominator equal to 3. So I'm going to say my fraction dot denominator equals 3. So now basically what we have is we have this one thing called my fraction, and this my fraction's numerator is 1 and this my fraction's denominator is 3. Alright, so now let's just go ahead and create a function to print out my fraction or any fraction out onto the screen. So what I'm going to do up here is just go ahead and create the prototype for that function. So the first thing I'm going to do is write out void, because this function that we're going to be creating isn't going to be giving any information back to the caller. It's just going to be printing something out onto the screen. Then I need to give a name to my function. I'm just going to call it print fraction. And then it's only going to take one parameter, and that parameter that's going to take is just a fraction. So I'm just going to type out fraction, and then I'm just going to call my parameter f, and end this line with a semicolon since it's just a prototype. So now I'm just going to go ahead and copy this prototype, paste it down here, and actually build the function print fraction itself. So all that we want this print fraction function to do is just print out this fraction or any fraction onto the screen. So we want it to print out this fraction's numerator and its denominator. So we're just going to say printf, and then we're going to first be printing out the numerator. So I'm going to do modulus I, since every fraction's numerator is an int, and then I'm going to do a slash, and then I'm going to want to print out this fraction's denominator. So I'm going to do modulus I again, because every fraction's denominator is also an integer. And then I'm just going to go ahead and end the line. Alright, so like I said, we just want to first replace this first integer variable right here with this fraction's numerator. So I'm going to say f dot numerator. Then we just want to replace this second integer variable with the fraction's denominator. So I'm just going to say f dot denominator. Alright. So now, if we just wanted to print this fraction out onto the screen called my fraction, we could do that using this print fraction function. So I'm just going to say print fraction, and then I want to print out the fraction my fraction, which we just created up here. So I'm going to say my fraction. Alright, now let's just go ahead and run this and make sure that it works. Oh, I spelled fraction wrong. Alright. Now, as you can see out onto the screen, we just got 1/3 since it printed out first the fraction's numerator, which is 1, and then it printed out the fraction's denominator, which was 3. Alright, so that's pretty much it for this tutorial. In the next tutorial, we're going to continue working with structures. Alright, so see you guys.